Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Tuesday live stream event today and doing it a little bit early. And I normally do much later in the evening, but sometimes there are reasons to do it early, and having an awesome guest is one of those amazing reasons why you should do it a little bit early. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you today my special guest, Allison from the Who's There podcast. Hey, Allison, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You are most welcome. Appreciate you joining. And for those of you who have not been on social media today, shame on you, first of all. No, just kidding. But if you have not been on social media, if you go to my Facebook, or not my Facebook, my goodness, my Twitter or my Instagram, or Allison's Instagram or Twitter, you will also see that I am a guest today as well on her podcast. So it's a double feature Tuesday. So it's very exciting. So after this is over, be sure you visit our both of our social medias, and I have a link in the description of this video to Allison's podcast page. So you just click there, and you'll see it's today's broadcast. So you can go from here right to the podcast and just keep it flowing all the rest of the night. So it's a win-win.
Awesome.
Yes. So I really enjoyed being on there. It was a lot of fun. We really got to dive into some great, Allison is a great interviewer, and it was some really great questions, some real thought-provoking questions, and so I really do encourage you guys to check it out. It's not just what you might expect. It digs pretty deep in some stuff. So,
Oh, thanks.
anywho, you're welcome. But for today on our live stream, we're going to be talking today about all things Scream. Now, I do also want to disclose up front that, as you guys know who've been following me here on the channel for a while with the live streams, when I start engaging in discussion, the chat, sometimes I get a little bit behind on it. So I want to let you guys know that if you ask a question, we welcome that. However, if for any reason I do not get to your question today, don't take it personal. Don't be upset about it. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's literally that I just didn't see it, because sometimes I have to scroll, and as I scroll, I'm missing some things, okay? So I don't have a moderator, so I'm doing it all myself. So, grant me a little bit of grace and patience if I do not get to your question tonight. And remember, there's always another live stream, so you have another opportunity. But I will also say that if you want to ensure that we do get your questions up on the screen and answered, you can do a super chat. And if you all super chats, I get flagged, a special notification, and I will definitely get those on the screen to talk with Allison about. So if you want to make sure, and you really have a question you want answered tonight or to talk about, all super chats will get acknowledged on the chat 100%, because I can see those real quickly when they pop up. So just wanted to throw that out. All right, so having gotten all that stuff out of the way, just want to say hello to some folks here. Coop, and oh, I love it, man. Horror Miser Monty G in the house saying, "What's up, Allison?" Awesome.
Hi.
Love Monty G. Did a collaboration with him last week on his channel for about Scream.
Oh, cool.
So it was a lot of fun. And Chad's in the house. Austin, Nick is in the house. Let's go. Absolutely, absolutely. Glad you're here. And then Jason, of course, and Schloggy's in the house. No grace and no patience. Answer us now. Oh my goodness. Oh, anyway. So, and there's some others here too, but I'll see you guys. So it's great to see you here. So, Allison, let's start with, and Jake. Hey, Jake. Caught you just at the last second before I got off the chat. Glad you're here, Jake. So, Allison, how about this? Scream 5. Why don't we start off telling us how many times you've seen it, and what are your overall, before we get into some real specifics, give me your umbrella opinion of the film now after you've seen it.
Okay, so I have seen it 3 times in theaters now. I am an AMC A-list member, so I can go as many times as I want, 3 times a week. I'm not doing that, but I have seen it 3 times. Um, my overall feeling on it, I really, really enjoyed it. It gave me the same unnerving feeling that I remember the first one giving me when I was 11, but it just felt a little bit more updated and modern. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let me ask you something. As you have seen it 3 times, have you felt differently about the movie? Not necessarily bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, is your perspective changed a lot over the viewings? Like you saw it one time, you felt a certain way. You saw it a second time. Have you? How is your lens, if you will, looking at the movie now after multiple viewings versus your first? Anything change for you?
My first viewing, I was just going in to enjoy it. Um,
Yes.
and I feel like this third viewing, I was looking at it a little bit more critically.
Yes.
Um, and there was one actress who her performance in the beginning is just not very good, in my opinion.
Okay.
And it didn't ruin the film for me at all, but I felt like I didn't believe her. I felt she was just saying lines, and it was overly emotional. But I like the more serious horror movies. I don't like horror comedies,
Okay.
which I know is weird to say because I know Scream is sometimes considered a horror comedy.
Yeah, I
But
know. It's not though. It's yeah. It's
yeah,
yeah. Right.
I don't know.
I've always pictured it or described it as it's a horror movie that has some comedy mixed into it here and there.
Yeah,
But when I think of horror comedy, I'm thinking like Army of Darkness and
yeah,
was it Tucker and Dale and
uh,
Tucker?
yeah.
Those are what I think of, right? But I know what you're saying because I've heard that as well. But okay, let me ask you this: tonal wise, hey, Cheetah, what's up, man? So tonal wise for the movie, how do you feel that the tone is of this compared to the Wes Craven's four films? Do you feel that Radio Silence has maybe changed, or not changed, but perhaps invoked a different tone overall, or do you feel like it's pretty trained true to the history of the film and films?
Um, I think this one was a lot darker than any of the other sequels, which I loved. Like I said before, it feels very similar to the tone of the first one. So that's
Yes.
why I enjoyed it so much.
Yes, yes, yes. Agreed. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So we start off here with the first time ever in a Scream film that we have an opening, and let's park on the opening for a minute and we'll talk about it. We have an opening where there is not a kill.
Hmm.
This has never been done before in the first four films. So tell me, what were your thoughts of the opening overall, from Jenna Ortega's performance as Tara, Roger L. Jackson, the whole thing? What did you think of this opening in terms of the franchise?
I mean, given that first trailer that we had, I didn't watch all of the trailers, but from the first trailer, I thought I knew what the opening was going to be.
Hmm.
And then I was very pleasantly surprised that they kind of faked us out and it was much longer and more detailed than it appeared in the trailer. I loved that. I had watched, before I stopped watching the trailers that were coming out and all of the YouTube content analyzing the trailer, I watched a couple of YouTube videos and they pointed out that you see her in the trailer in the hospital. So that's why
Yes.
I wasn't totally surprised that she lived. And I love
Yes.
that technology was partially responsible for the situation that she was in, but it also saved her because she could click a button on her phone and call the cops. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Which ultimately saved her life, in my opinion.
yeah,
That's what saved her life because
yep,
I think we would have gotten an opening kill
hmm,
if she had not hit that panic button for the alarm, and the police showed up with the lights flashing, and Ghostface is still hanging on to the last minute,
yeah,
until he has to run and disappear. So that's why she was spared. That is one thing, though, I will have to say about the trailer, and normally I really do like. Um, I really do like the trailers. I thought they did a good job, but I will say this: I wish that they had not shown that little scene with her in the wheelchair in the
yeah,
trailer. Just leave that scene out because if that scene wasn't there, we would all. I know I would have. I'll speak for myself, but and most people I've spoken to about this agree. I would have gone in expecting an opening kill. That's just what's always done, and
yeah,
so it would have been a shock to see Tara live.
hmm,
It would have been
yeah,
a real surprise. So anyway, for the future, Radio Silence and Paramount, when you're making your trailers, just leave
yeah,
maybe not necessarily put all that in there. We don't need save that. But so all in all, I think I really enjoyed that opening scene.
yeah.
I thought it was well done, and I have to say I really was impressed with the performance. And I mentioned this before, but I have to say the performance of Roger L. Jackson as the voice of Ghostface was so good, and he's always good. Honestly, there's not a bad performance from him, but it was something about the way he delivered the lines in that opening. Actually, the whole movie, but that opening, he was. I don't know. It was just more in control. It almost was like more very calm and more confident sounding. And I just thought it was brilliant. And the lines, I thought Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt did a great job on writing the lines
Yeah.
for Ghostface in
Yeah.
the whole movie. There was
Hmm.
never a line that I thought was like, eh. I thought the lines were good. And they totally duped us out on the trailer because whenever when Sydney walks into the Stu's house and he's like, hello, Sydney, it's an honor.
Hmm.
Well, man, when we find out, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, we'll get there. But when we find out where that line was used, I was like, it made me so furious and angry at that moment. Not at the movie, but at at Ghostface.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to say, and everyone knows because if you're on this live stream, it's in the description you clicked. But this is a spoiler live stream. The movie's been out for more than 2 weeks. We are going to go full-blown spoilers. We're even being careful now. Even now, I'm noticing how you're talking. You're very careful because we're so guarded. We don't want to ruin the movie for people. But this is a spoiler live stream. So if you've not seen it, I would encourage you to come back and watch this. Go watch the movie now. Go watch tonight. Grab dinner. Go to the movie. Come back and watch this later. Okay? So we're going to spill everything. All right. Just had to get that out there.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I can fully go there. So, okay. Now, the opening scene, so we see Tara get attacked, and what a brutal attack it was. It was a
Yeah.
brutal attack. It was so savage. And then we get cut to this scene where we see Sam for the first time, and she's sitting outside on a break, at her job at the bowling alley, and she gets a call from Wes to come to town because Tara's been attacked, and that's all he really tells her. And so, what were your thoughts? And I think I already know who you were talking about earlier. I have a funny feeling I know. So, give me your initial thoughts on the character of Sam. What do you think about Melissa Barrera and overall performance? And I have some things to say about her too. What did you think about her?
I thought in that first scene I liked her. I thought she was very likable, and I liked her chemistry with Richie. I can't remember his name, but
Richie. Yep. Jack Quaid. Richie.
yeah, Jack Quaid. I think he was in one of the Hunger Games movies as one of the tributes, which is what I know him from. Um,
Nice.
but I really liked their chemistry. I thought she did a good job in that scene, and then she gets to the hospital, and her acting was not very good. I thought it was so cheesy, the dialogue. Um,
Okay.
and I was like, I, I just didn't believe that she would be this hysterical, and I don't know why she would. I mean, okay, I understand why she would be like, "It's my fault," but I don't know. I liked
Hmm.
her after that. After we got past over that scene, I went back to liking her a lot. Um, but yeah, it's just that one scene. I was like cringing watching it
Oh no.
again. So
So do you think it was the writing, the lines, or do you think it was the delivery, or do you think it was all of it?
I think it was probably the lines.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I don't think it was her fault because she wasn't bad all the way through. It was just those lines that were like so cheesy and
Hmm.
like overly emotional. And I know that they kind of should be. It's like it was kind of like basically all of the dialogue in Halloween Kills, which was just cheesy and not believable. Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't like the
oh,
movie.
you're killing me. I know, I know. It's okay. Look. I'm almost at the point now where I believe I am in the minority, and I don't mind that. But Halloween Kills. I mean, again, we're not going to talk. This is a Scream stream, but still, I love that movie. I did, but that's okay. I know a lot of people don't, so you're not alone in that camp for sure. Uh, Hey, we just got a $2 super chat coming in from the Atlantic Creole. Thank you very much for the super chat. I love the nod to Scream 2 in the hospital scene. I love the nod to Scream 2 in the hospital scene. I'm thinking, Allison, let's rack our brains now. Let's see here. Hey, Creole, do me a favor, clarify that for me.
Yeah.
Clarify that for us, because I know there's a connection because they did a lot of parallels in
Yeah.
this movie. So, but do me a favor. For some reason, I don't know why it's not clicking for me, but I want to address that. So if you'll hit me up here, and I'll look for your next chat coming through, and we can address that. But Allison, do you recall anything?
Um, I don't. I'm thinking it has to do with Sam in the break room, maybe when she gets the call. But
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure how what scene it parallels in Scream 2. Scream 2 is
Yeah.
also like one of my least favorite of the whole franchise. But so I have not seen it that many times.
Okay.
Sorry. Um,
Yeah, well, and it is hard because there are so many parallels, and this is why I'm looking so forward to seeing this movie a lot more. Allison and I
mhm,
were talking a little bit before we went live, and one of the things I told her was that I am going to, when this thing hits Paramount Plus in like 4 weeks, I'm literally watching it at least twice a day, minimum of twice a day for a week, because these little parallel scenes that I know that I caught several of them, but they're going to become so like second nature, so that like
yeah.
to recall them. But I do know that there are a lot of parallels. So Atlantic, I do appreciate that super chat, man. Thanks for your support of the channel. And again, if you want to clarify that a little bit more, we will definitely address that for sure. But we appreciate
Yeah.
that. All right, awesome. So Sam's performance, the lines for Sam, you just weren't a fan of, and when she's
Yeah.
explaining what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I here's my thing with Sam. Here's my thing on Sam. So I she warmed up on me, is what I'm trying to say. She warmed up on me. At first, I was like, I don't know. She seems really wooden. She seems really, I don't know, not very much conviction in her role. But then I realized that that's how she's supposed to be because she's being medicated for antipsychotic medications. She's having hallucinations. She's probably close to some type of a mental breakdown at that point. And a person that is struggling with those issues, they're not just going to be all in control and just nailing and they're going to be some things that aren't right about them. They're not going to be what you would expect. And so as I started thinking about that, I said, wait a minute, this makes more sense. And as the movie progresses, and we'll talk about Billy in a minute, but as the movie progresses, and I felt like she warmed up. I felt like she got better as the movie went. Was it because of the lines? Maybe. But I thought her performance just got better. And by the time we got to the end, I'm telling you right now, her kill of Richie was personally my most favorite kill of any. It was better than any of the Ghostface kills. That kill right there, I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna stab him, and it'll be done. No, no, no. It is a frenzied. I was sitting there just
Yeah.
looking at her, Allison, and I'm like, this is savage. I mean, this is savagery. And so she stabs Jake. I'm Jake. She stabs Richie 22 times.
Mm.
22 times. And you have the whole blowback, all the blood splattering all over her face, all over her clothes. And she's just into it. It's like she's found a new favorite thing. And she was enjoying that kill. I mean, she was. And then when she sits up and she does the whole wiping off the blood of the knife, just
Yeah.
like Ghostface, killers do. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman. All I says, radio silence trying to tease us where this may be going is in the next couple of movies. Could she be, now that she's had a taste of that dark side? Is this where we're going to see her maybe turn and give into it? And Tara, who survived, is now maybe going to be the strong final girl that ultimately survives, because I don't think that's that far fetched considering the way that they ended it, with her. So, what were your thoughts on Tara? Let's shift to Tara. So, how do you feel about her performance?
Oh,
Jenna Ortega.
I just thought the Atlantic Creole got back to you and said when Sydney says show your face, you fucking coward. Sorry, I don't know if I should curse. Ghostface, and he says my pleasure. That was from Scream 2.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, nice. Thank you. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. Thank you, Atlantic.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes. My pleasure. Yes, it was. It was.
Yeah. So I really liked Tara. I thought she was really good. What's the actress's name? Jen
Jenna
Ortega.
Ortega. Jenna
Yeah, I
Ortega.
thought
Yeah.
she was great. I would love for her to be the new Sydney going forward, more than Sam. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I I agree with everything that you said about Sam's mental state. I just had not thought of it like that because I didn't know that much about her mental state and like why was she
Mm-hmm.
on antipsychotics? Was it preventative because her father was a psychopath? That's what I got from it. And I was a little bit
Mm-hmm.
like, slow your roll. Let's see if there's anything there, but they never explain it. They never explain
No.
why she's on these antipsychotics.
No.
So
Nope. Not
I
yet.
just I didn't have enough background on Sam, but I really liked Tara, and she kind of reminded me of myself, where I'm like, I don't really like the Friday the 13th and the
Mm-hmm.
Halloweens. I like the more elevated horror, even though I do also like something like Scream, but Scream is smarter than Friday the
Yes.
13th. Come
Oh
at
yeah.
me.
For sure. For sure.
Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. No, it definitely is. It's really smart, and that's a great way to describe it. There's very smart movies,
yeah,
and yeah, and I have to say with as far as Tara goes, it is man. I am a big fan. I really
yeah.
am, and she really did a great job. And if you really think about it, she went through much more trauma in this movie
Yeah.
than Sam. I mean, not even close.
Yeah,
You know,
Sam was being dramatic.
Sam was being dramatic. Tara was being like, yeah, and that's another reason why. If you look at Tara and look at what she went through and how severe her attack was and the brutality of everything, and then to get to the end and save the day basically with taking out who I'm now calling Leatherface after they're getting torched, Amber, with the gunshot. She showed strength, Allison. She showed
Yeah.
mental strength. She showed physical strength to overcome all of that. And that's why I said earlier, I kind of left there feeling like, the real Sydney of these two is Tara. It's not
Oh yeah.
Sam.
No, not Sam
It's
at all.
no, and there. So I just keep going back to, and I won't beat a dead horse, but I do. I just can't get off of this idea that what if that Sam as a final girl was the misdirection for us? That they really are showing us how Tara is stronger. She's and she can pull through all these things, and she's going to be the one that's stable
Yeah.
and able to hold it all together. Uh, I just think that's an interesting idea. So Jenna Ortega for sure, big fan of what she
Yeah.
did. And there was another scene I was looking for here. Oh, this was terrible. The stab through the
Yeah.
hand. Oh my gosh. Now, which Allison, I don't know if you recall or not, but and everybody in the chat, before I say it, I'm going to ask you the question. This scene, what scene was that an homage to? Because that's an homage to another Scream scene in another Scream film
It's
where
wasn't it? Isn't it the cold open of the first movie?
it's nope. It is the first, not the first opening kill, but the first kill in Scream 4 with Olivia across the street,
Hmm.
and Ghostface pops out after she says, look in the closet, and Kirby says, there's nobody here, and he said,
Oh, okay.
I didn't say I was in your closet.
Yeah.
And so when Ghostface jumps out of Olivia's closet with a knife, he goes it right through, bam, right through the hand, exactly as we
Mm.
see right here. So that was another scene that paralleled another Scream scene, and there are so many of these, which is it's just great, and that's why I'm so I wish I had it on Paramount Plus right now that I could just go and watch, and dissect every little section, but I will. Don't
I
worry.
have to I have to push back. The opening scene was like Drew Barrymore in the first one. That may have been the same stab as
Well,
in
yeah, yeah,
4,
yeah. No, I
but
agree. No, no. The
yeah.
opening scene, absolutely. No, no. I was talking about that one specific,
Okay. Yeah,
just
yeah.
that one specific thing
Yeah.
when the stab through the hand. But oh no, it definitely was a parallel and mirror to the first one. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. No, you're
Mhm.
100% right. And it was done. It was done really well. It was such a strong opening.
Yeah. I
And
I was I went when I went to go see it on Saturday, I was really nervous about what my friend who was with me would think. And like after the cold open, she like turned to me and she was like, "Yes. Yes. Okay.
Nice. That always makes you feel good.
Yeah.
I love seeing people enjoy it. Like, when they get it, and like, oh, this is
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, we mentioned him earlier, but I want to go back to him and stay for a little bit. My most favorite new character, new actor, was one that actually we're never going to see again because it was Richie. It was Jack Quaid. And I was hoping, man, I was hoping, like, you have no idea how much I was hoping he was going to be Derek from Scream 2. He was going to be that caring, nice boyfriend who was supporting and was going to be there to the end. And unfortunately, they had to make him Billy. They had to go there. And he was, of course, Jack Quaid is probably the most experienced actor of the new cast in terms of just chops. And it showed. It really showed. And I thought he was just phenomenal. And I would have loved to have seen him be one more survivor into Scream 6. In fact, I wish, if I had to pick, I would take him over Chad. If I had to say there's only one guy who's going to make it, give me Richie. Let him go be that support system for Sam as her boyfriend. But it wasn't meant to be. So tell me, what did you feel about the character Richie in terms of when did you suspect him? Did you always think he was Ghostface? Was it a surprise? What were your thoughts on him?
I think I probably didn't suspect him until close to the end. I think I typically don't even try to figure out who it is, or I think the yeah, I'm not that analytical when I'm watching a movie for fun.
Yeah, sure.
Um, if I had wanted to keep watching all those trailers that are breaking down who's getting killed when, and that would leave who's left, then I would have done that. But the thing that tipped me off was in the hospital when he is going to Tara to see how she is, and then Ghostface comes and cuts him in the arm. That made me think that it
Yes.
may have been him because otherwise he would have been dead.
Yeah, that kind of hard. And again, that parallels Scream 4 with Jill
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
she gets killed. I mean, not killed, but sliced on that same arm.
Yeah.
And Derek too. Remember, and Derek in Scream
Yeah.
2 got stabbed on that same
But he
spot.
wasn't the killer. He wasn't the
But he
killer.
wasn't the killer. That's right. So it was 50-50, right? Because we had, okay, well, that happened to Derek. He was okay, and it happened to Jill. And sure enough, it was Jill. It
Yeah.
was the Jill side. So, uh, yeah, and he just did a great job, I think, overall.
Yeah.
As an actor. So we move on past now, and we start to meet some other people, some new folks. And unfortunately, there were a couple that I really was not a fan of, I will say. But so I'll tell you what, let's pat poke pack, right? So let's talk about a good one,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna poke and one I wasn't happy about. So one of the ones who I was very pleased about, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is let's talk about Mindy. Mindy Meeks, Randy's niece. And the new Randy in terms of knowledge, and I have to say, her giving the rules of a requel was just fantastic. So tell me, Allison, what were your thoughts on Mindy Meeks'
Oh,
character?
I absolutely loved her. I thought she was a badass. I loved her knowledge. I loved her moxie, and um, yeah, I totally enjoyed. Anytime somebody would ask her to like go with them into the basement, she'd be like, "No, but good for you for asking."
Yeah, that's right.
Um, so I was happy that she lived, and I remember when they first started putting people on IMDb on the IMDb page, I
Hmm.
recognized immediately that their last name was Meeks Martin. So I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Randy's
Yes.
niece and nephew." But they didn't put Heather Matarazzo on there. I guess she's on there
Nope.
now. But so that was I was like, she's definitely gonna be there because their kids won't be there without their mother. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really like that. A lot of people that I talk to, they're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't catch that." I was like, "Just look at the IMDb page."
Absolutely. And it was so good that Martha did appear as well. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I love that little scene in the house when she's
Yes.
coming over and she's just her old,
Yes.
jolly self,
Yeah, I
And
love her little scene in Scream 3. I thought it was so cute. So,
oh yeah, don't kill me. I'm only 17.
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
great." Yeah, I was so happy that they kept her part in there. And it just
Yeah.
made sense to your point. I mean, you've got the twins, her kids are in the movie,
Mhm.
and they're in her house. So it's like, of course we know Scream is infamous for having no parents home. That's
Yeah.
just kind of a thing. But I'm so glad that they did bring her in. And I loved Mindy as well. I thought that Jasmine Savoy Brown did a great job
Yeah.
in her acting, and her lines were good,
Hmm.
and just her personality was good. And what I loved too is that she learned from her uncle,
Yes.
because when she's watching Stab, right,
Yep.
and she's got the scene on, and she's watching behind you, and
Behind you. Oh crap.
yeah, and then she turns and like there it, and like yes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Randy would have been proud. I'm sure he was looking
Yes.
down and saying, "Yay, good for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
you
and
did it."
she's also, I think, the first openly gay character in a Scream movie. So
Yeah, I believe
that
you're
was
right.
cool too. Yeah.
I believe you're right. Now she had her brother also. Let's talk about Chad. Now, what were your thoughts on Mason Gooding's character Chad?
I liked him. I didn't like him as much as his sister. I thought he was funny. I thought that he had some good lines. Um, yeah, I would it have been the same without him? Um, I don't know. I guess I don't have too many thoughts on him
Mm-hmm.
because he was fine. I enjoyed him. The first two times I saw it, everyone clapped when he was taken away on the stretcher going into the
Yeah,
ambulance.
yeah,
So people like him a lot. I
yeah.
just Mindy outshined him, outshone him. So
Yes, I am 100% with you. I feel the
yeah,
same way. I feel like Chad was fine. I mean, he wasn't bad. He was fine, but there wasn't a whole lot of extra value he added. I mean, I think
yeah,
the best scene he had was when Liv was with him on the couch trying to get him to go
yeah.
upstairs, and he's like,
I'm
you,
99% sure you're not the killer,
yeah.
but let's just stay down here with people. I mean, that was smart.
It
That was smart.
was. It
So
was smart. It's something you would expect from a sister of Mindy, and
yeah,
and so that was it. But I thought that was his best scene. That was his shining scene of
definitely.
the movie.
But it was very unrealistic. If there's a high school boy and his girlfriend is trying to get him to go upstairs, he's going.
Yeah,
Killer or no killer.
it's kind of you're right. I've never known one that would be in that situation and not follow
Yeah.
through. So I think you're probably right on that. But he was fine. Yeah, he was okay. And like I said, if he had not survived, it would not have broken my heart. I would have been
Yeah.
okay. I would have been like, okay. And I had predicted him in my predictions that he would die. I
Mm,
thought one of the twins would live, and I thought Mindy would live. It made the most sense because she's the new Randy. She'll survive, and she did. And I thought Chad was a Garner, but yeah, they brought him back. So hopefully he'll have more opportunity in six, because the one thing about Scream 5 is they were jamming so much information, because you're introducing all these new people. You have these legacy casts, which we hadn't talked about them yet. We're going to get to them, and you're having to connect the old with the new and tell all these stories in 2 hours, and it's just a lot. And
yeah.
so you can't have all this really thick development with these people because there's no time. It'd be a 3 or 4 hour movie,
Hmm.
which I would have been okay with that. But
Yeah.
that's not. I know that's not realistic. So yeah, I think Chad they have an opportunity in six now that he's a legacy character. Because he's a
Hmm.
legacy character, that they can work on maybe giving him more. We can learn more about him, give him more lines, give him more chances to shine. So I'm hopeful that he'll do that.
Yeah. And now he's single. So maybe his
Yeah.
new girlfriend will be the next killer. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. In fact, his girlfriend, his deceased girlfriend, who we'll talk about next, is one who I had predicted was going to be a Ghostface going into it. She was one that I'd picked, her and Richie's, who I'd selected to be Ghostface when I went in. And so Liv, she is a character that, honestly, in my opinion, she was a throwaway character. She was, again, she wasn't bad. It was. I didn't feel like, oh gosh, she was horrible, but she just didn't. She wasn't given much of anything, just a little bit here and there. And I liked her character enough, but to me, she was just kind of just there to be killed. Because just a Scream movie, you got to kill
Hmm.
people. So you
Yeah.
can't have. There are some people that are just there to die as their purpose. So what did you feel about the character of Liv? Did you feel the same, or did you feel differently?
I mean, I really liked her in the scenes that she was in.
Yeah,
Somebody had to die.
yeah,
So, I mean, I wish it wasn't the person with the pink hair, but
I know, right?
I liked her style and I liked her
Yeah,
sass.
yep.
So, but I mean, Yeah, I think they were. I think that was a symptom. You didn't get to know her that well because there were too many new characters that they needed to introduce and like give some screen time to. So
Yes, absolutely. And plus they knew when they went into this there's only going to be four characters that are going to make it of all these new people.
yeah,
So they have to give those four people some extra time because if we don't care about them, then we're no one's going to go to Scream 6.
hmm
You know, because you want to have something you know some reason to care about what happens to them next. So yeah, she was just a victim of not having much opportunity. But I agree, I did like her when she was on screen.
yeah,
And her death was shocking. I wasn't expecting just out of nowhere, bam, just head had blown up. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. That was
wow,
definitely shocking. So
yes,
yeah, I mean, I was very happy that like some of the new characters lived in this movie because basically they all died in four.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's true. They did.
yeah.
Well, almost
Yeah.
all
I
of
mean,
them.
Kirby's alive, but she's not back yet, so she's may as well be dead, which I don't want her to be, but until she comes back, she was stabbed in four, so.
She was stabbed before, but as we know, Wes
Mhm.
Craven said that she
Mhm.
was alive. He was bringing her back for the what at that time was
Yeah.
supposed to be a new trilogy. So, speaking of Kirby, while we're there, we'll just park there. So we do know that she is alive now. It's finally confirmed, and I was very happy that Radio Silence has honored the canon that Wes had, knowing that he said she was alive, that she survived, and so they honored the canon there and had her as being alive. And they were going to bring her in for a short scene, but they said we don't want to do that because if we bring Kirby in and it's just a little quick scene, then it's going to be everyone's going to be upset about it. It's she's got to have more of a significant role.
Mhm.
So I think the stage is set. I don't think you do that and without a plan
Yeah.
already in place for 6. And so my theory right now, working, is that Kirby will return in Scream 6 to be a type of mentor. Like I've been through it. I've went through this. She's closer in age to Sam than Sydney is by like at least 10 years younger. And not that that matters, but I'm just saying, that could make a difference. And then she could imagine her and Mindy getting together. The conversations of movie trivia and horror movies and having Mindy and Kirby game planning on how to stop Ghostface together.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool premise. What do you think about that coming up?
I think it sounds cool. I think Kirby will be almost 30 by that time.
Yep.
So it I don't know, it might be a little bit weird for a 30-year-old to be hanging out with a high school student, but um and I think that for people who are not like us, who don't love horror movies like this, a
Hmm.
conversation between Kirby and Mindy might be obnoxious. So, like your
Well,
typical
that could be
moviegoer would be
right.
like, "What are you talking about?" We would all love it,
Right.
but um, I think I don't know if I see her as a mentor. Maybe I could see her as like a teacher at Woodsboro High, and then she starts. That's how she gets into mentoring. But I can't see her just be like going back to Woodsboro um and
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, let's be friends, and I'll help you through this."
Right.
So
Yeah. Hey, that's a good point too. I mean, it's going to have to come down to really good writing. How do you write her into the story where it flows, it makes sense, and it's so that's the exciting stuff. And we'll have lots of months once they announce Scream 6 is green lit, which I hope will be coming in the next few weeks here.
mhm.
If we get that announcement, then we can go into hyper mode for
Yeah.
theories like crazy. Then, and Chad Craven, don't disrespect my girlfriend Liv. I love her. Well, yeah, she's deceased, bro. I don't know what to tell you, man. Sorry about that. She just didn't make it, man.
It's a high
Blah.
school relationship. It wasn't going to work out anyway.
Yeah, they rarely ever do. Exactly. Well, it looks like here, Blucka in the house, and oh boy, here we go. We got the first sighting I've seen of Stu. And my tradition, Allison, on my live streams, the minute someone talks about Stu, there's something that's very, very important that we have to take care of. And what we do here, and I'm just trying to find it. Okay, here it is. So what we do when I hear to see or I see Stu in the chat, we have to bam, we have to load up the Stu train. I am the conductor. All aboard the stew train. If you're ready for stew, hit me with your favorite hashtag in the chat right now. Give me your best hashtag stew back. Let's go. And I will be, train will be leaving. I got first class seats available. And Allison, for you, I even have a VIP seat in the stew train for you. And I'm telling you, you'll love it. It's a comfortable ride and it's fully furnished because that's where we're going. We are going there. It's going to happen. And I've been riding the stew train for months. And everyone here in the chat who's been on part of my channel knows how I feel about stew. And so, yes, so let me ask you, Allison. I've always, Wes Craven said long, long time ago that Stu survived. He was alive. So did Kevin Williamson. He was going to be in Scream 3, and they had to scrap it for Columbine. So they had to, rewrite it. So the canon of Wes Craven was that he was alive, just like Kirby. Same thing. And so how do you feel about the idea? Because this is very polarizing, and I've always find people are either hate it, like just hate it with a passion. They, like myself, love it with a passion. There's some folks who have been like, okay, I don't really care either way. They're kind of in the middle, but it's pretty polarizing. So tell me, we see this here. Did the real life Stu Macher survive? And it's true crime conspiracies. So, what say you about Stu Macher? Will we see him again?
Good Lord, I hope not. I love Stu in the first movie, and if we had gotten the Scream 3 that was originally written and we would have seen him leading teenagers from jail, that would have been very interesting. But I think after 25 years, you need to let Stu die in jail as a 50-year-old or 45-year-old. I was so scared that they were going to bring him back in 5, and that would have just felt like lazy writing to me. If he had been there in 3, I could see it, but I don't bring back a character from 25 years ago. Like, get a little bit more creative. I understand. I'm not about it. And I love Stu. I love Matthew Lillard, and I don't think somebody would survive having a TV thrown on their head and being electrocuted in the brain. If there are any doctors out there who will be like, I've had a patient that this has happened to and they're alive, tell me. But I don't see how that's possible. Yeah, I'm not a doctor.
Well, and that's fair. And like I say, I know that a lot of people share your feelings about it as well. And I've had some people telling me, though, hey, Carrie, good to see you. I've actually had some folks messaging me. One person, I haven't looked at it in detail yet. I'm holding on to it, but they've actually done studies, some type of actual studies, of what would happen if this TV or this tube television would have fallen. Would it have killed someone? And I've had a couple people that have responded, and they're showing me stuff and saying, no, this would not happen. That TV would have hit his head and either bounced off But what's interesting about that whole thing is whenever the TV hits him, when the camera goes away, you still hear him making noise. He's like, he's still like, there's no double tap to the head like we saw with Billy or anything like that. So, it's interesting and I get it, but I always go back to saying, look, there was a way that Wes and Kevin had that was plausible that he survived. And if that's the case, he's still in play if Radio Silence wants to go there. And again, I don't know that they do, right? We don't know that for sure, but there's definitely an opportunity there. So I'm hoping that it will still happen. And if he is, in fact, part of the plan for this trilogy, then we may not see him till 7. He may not pop up until the very, very end. And I'm loving this Stu love here. Thank you, guys. I'm loving this Stu love. Let's go. So, but I respect what you're saying, and I do get what you're saying.
I understand that he was still moving when they panned away from him, but I don't think electrocution would be an instant thing because when people get the chair, it's not instant, and sometimes it does not work, which is speaks to your point. But I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm with you. I know. Same here. I mean, I'm gonna always hold out hope. always hold out hope, and it may never happen. But you know what we did see happen though? We did see happen. We saw the you're talking about how we don't want to bring characters back, but we actually did see the return of one Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what were your thoughts the first time we see Billy Loomis in the rearview mirror of Sam's car?
That was not the first time. The first time was in the mirror
Oh,
at the hospital.
oh, you're right. My bad. Back up, back up. My bad. That's right. It was the
I
hospital. Yes, yes, yes.
It's when she's taking her antipsychotics.
That's
I
right.
don't know why she's on them. Um, so I was very surprised. I did not expect it at all. Um, uh, I I was okay with it because I knew they weren't bringing him back to be a killer, to be
Right.
really part of the movie, and I liked how they used him. Still, like, I don't really understand what Sam's whole mental health history was. I feel like we needed to get more information on that, but
Hmm. Hmm.
I did not mind the use of bringing Billy back. Yeah, he didn't. I could have done without him. I thought it was a little cheesy at first, but I didn't end up minding it overall.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no problem with it at all. I thought it was neat. And yeah, I've heard some people say, well, the de-aging looks a little wonky at times, but
He didn't look de-aged. He looked
and
old.
yeah, I thought I honestly put in I thought he looked fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know what? This is cool, man, and I think it's so great to see. Look, we've got Billy Loomis back in a Scream movie. My gosh,
yeah.
that's all. I mean, why? I will take that all day long. Whether it was perfect, imperfect, whatever. But I enjoyed it, and I loved how she finally came to terms at the end of this movie of accepting who she is, Sam. And she's accepted herself as being the daughter of a serial killer. And all of that repressed feeling she had, oh boy, look at that. She let it go on Richie. As Mr. T used to say, I pity the fool. I pity the fool. I pity Richie, because again, I said it earlier in the chat, in the stream. I think it was my favorite kill. It was my absolute most favorite kill of the whole movie. Was right there when she just goes absolutely bonkers on him, and just a spree, savage, frenzied kill. But it's back to Billy. I think it was great. And what was interesting too was that when this movie ends, after she kills Billy, and I mean not Billy, excuse me, after she kills Richie, my thought was, okay, and she did it. Now it's out of her system. Quote, like she's come to terms with her psychosis or whatever she's dealing with, and now she's in control of it. And then what happens, Allison? She walks outside and shows out, and next time we see they're outside by the ambulance, and she walks by one of the vehicles, and who does she see in the window, or maybe it was a puddle of water on the
yeah.
floor, on the ground? It was on the ground, wasn't it? She looks down, and there's Billy.
Hmm.
Oh, she's still seeing him. So
Yeah.
that again, that tells me that they're not done with this Billy front, this whole issue that's going on, that is going to carry into six. And I mean, my thought is we're going to have to see Billy in six again. That this is going to continue, because if they could have ended it where in the house, in the mirror, the picture, or whatever she looked at, and he smiles or whatever, and he fades away, like you see him fade off, like it's over. And they didn't do that. So, what are your thoughts about having us see Billy again? Do you think that's going to have implications?
I like your idea about he should have faded away in the mirror and she should have gotten all of that repressed emotion out when she was stabbing Richie. I don't like the idea
Yes.
of, unless we get to learn more about her history with her mental illness. Because if they
Yes.
keep not telling us anything, I don't care and I don't want to keep seeing Billy. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
you're not a fan of him coming back anymore. You're hoping that
No,
it's
because I don't, if you're not telling me any backstory, like, if
right.
I don't know, like she's scared she's going to be a psycho, so she's taking antipsychotics because her father was a psycho. And I also kind of don't like what that says about um, psychosis, and like if you come from a lineage that has somebody that was psychotic in it, that you are definitely going to be psychotic and that you need to worry, because I don't think that is often the case. I know mental illness often runs
Hmm.
in families, but I think that just
Yeah.
because there is a murderer in your family doesn't mean that you're going to be a murderer. So
Right. That's true.
I don't know.
That's very true. And I'm thinking that maybe more in sixth we're going to learn more. I hope, like you say,
Yeah.
let's give us some more, show us some more of what she's dealing with. Maybe show us talking to her psychiatrist
Yeah.
in one of their visits,
Hmm.
and give us an insight of like how this is affecting her and struggling with it. That would really help color
Yeah.
in some of that stuff that's
Hmm.
missing right now for sure.
Yeah.
I love it, Carrie. Angelina would come back with Stu as the killer, so they can revenge the partner. Yeah, heck yeah. If Angelina, because Angelina was absolutely the killer with Roman, so if she survived,
She's dead.
bring her back. Well, and she might be dead. So that and I'm totally 50-50 on that and a part of it, because that death we saw could be real. Roman just said, you know what, I'm done with you. You served the purpose that I need for this. I don't want any loose ends. So bye bye. And he just kills her and
Yeah, like
drags
in
her away.
4.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jill with Charlie.
Yeah.
Yep. So that absolutely. All right. So let's take a look here.
I have to say hi to a second to
Yeah.
for 1 second to Rob Humphrey, who's here, and he's been trolling me and saying evil dies tonight. So hi, Rob.
Oh my gosh. Evil dies tonight. Oh.
My friend Michael said that to me right before I went in to see Scream 3 for the first time, because we were both going to see it around the same time. And
Yeah.
I was like, I hate you. Don't
That's
say that to me.
awesome. I love it. It's so funny on the Lethal Collective, which is a channel that we have. I share with Killjoy Jake, Fate Decided, in the Night Watch Zone, and three of us love Halloween Kills. Jake, myself, and Night, and Fate hates Halloween Kills with a passion. So it's always fun when we start talking Halloween Kills, because it gets very fun, very very intense as we get into those fun discussions. But yeah, Evil Dies Tonight. Did it though? It did. It really didn't. So
It did not. Hopefully, in the next one, it does.
yeah,
We're good.
yeah, yeah. I think you will. And I posted a video today on Halloween Ends. I'm starting to post some Halloween Ends videos here and there. And one of those things I talked about was, is this Lori's final fight? Her last fight. And so that's something that definitely I think is very realistic. That's going to happen. But you just never know, right? You just don't ever know. All right, let's take a look here. Let's look at some more folks. Hey guys, just a reminder again, if you have a question for Allison or for myself that you want us to make sure we talk about and address it, be sure and hit a super chat, and we'll make sure and get that up to the top of the list as I get notified, and we'll know it's there. So feel
I'm
free.
I'm getting more evil dies tonight in the comments now. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Let Allison know how much we appreciate her as our guest. Hashtag Evil Dies Tonight. There we go. Just for you, Allison.
Yeah.
Just for you. Now, listen, I can tell you, my Craven Something Scary family here, they are fantastic.
Yeah.
I say all the time that you guys here on the chat and on the channel that subscribe, you're the best YouTube community that I've ever seen or been a part of. And they're just top notch, super respectful. Even when we disagree, we always respect one another's opinions, and it's the way it should be. All right, so we've kind of danced around this, but we've talked a lot about the new people, and there is one other new person that I'm going to quickly mention now and get your thoughts on. He didn't have a very big role, but he had a very big name because he was named after the amazing, legendary Wes Craven, and we're talking about Wes Hicks. And Allison, what were your thoughts on the character of Wes, played by Dylan Minnette?
I thought he was adorable. I loved him. Total mama's boy, but I really, I enjoyed his character a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was who I would have been if there was a killer in town. I would have found some mace and whatever else he
Yeah.
had. Would have done that. And I loved his scene. I don't know if you want to get into it yet, where he is
Yeah, go
after he
ahead.
gets out of the shower and he's walking around the house, like pulling stuff out of closets, and it's just a whole bunch of fake outs. It just made me feel the same uneasy creepiness that I felt in Scream, in the original Scream, when Sydney
Mm-hmm.
is walking around the house right before Tatum
Yes.
comes to pick her up before
Yep,
Ghostface calls her for the first time. So I
that's
really
right.
enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
thought his acting was good. Um, I was very sad that he died. So yeah, I just thought he was adorable.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I've heard a lot of people actually criticize that scene where the multiple doors closing and nothing
Hmm.
there. And I'm the opposite. I absolutely loved it. In fact, I thought this is classic Wes
Yeah.
Craven style
Yeah,
that we're
definitely.
seeing right here.
All the
I
fake outs, love it.
absolutely, yes. I mean, the fake outs, Wes was great on doing those. It's like one
Yeah.
of his things. So I'm like, anybody who's like a diehard Wes Craven fan would have picked up or should pick up on that.
Yeah.
That's an homage to him, to Wes, totally. And it's happening to Wes. So
Yeah.
think about the double meaning.
Hmm.
This is Wes Craven's signature, one of his signature things, and it's happening to Wes, who's named after him.
Yeah.
Triple meta. I mean, that is meta,
Hmm.
meta on meta. That is amazing. So I am one of those with you that fully support and love that scene of the
Yeah.
Mr. X. And
Yeah.
absolutely, he was great. And I did want him to live. But when you realize later on in the movie that in reality, they killed him so that they could have a tribute to Wes Craven in the movie
Yeah.
at the party, it all kind of makes sense
Yep.
because, they had the banner that says For
Hmm.
Wes, remember, in the kitchen.
Yep.
And Chad grabs his cup and he says, "All right," he says, "For Wes," and then everybody says, "For Wes," the whole group.
Yeah.
And when you find out, you probably already know the story behind it now. I would imagine about who.
I no, I don't. I don't know the story behind it.
Okay, this is really cool. So what we learned after the movie, Radio Silence did an interview where they revealed that the voices you hear saying "For Wes," the big group,
Oh, they are like what's yeah.
yeah,
Past, past
they're
actors who
past
I can't
character.
remember.
Yeah, past actor like Drew
Mhm.
Barrymore,
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard, and
Hmm.
Jamie Kennedy,
Yeah.
Hayden Panettiere, who's Kirby,
Hmm.
was in there.
Yeah.
He was Principal Henry. My gosh, I'm blanking. Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
Principal Henry was in there, and then Wes Craven's widow.
Mm.
She came and did it. Patrick Lussier, who edited all the Scream films and
Oh.
was Wes's
Yeah.
protege, and he was editing films for Wes in the '90s. Like he was his, he did New Nightmare. I mean, all of those. So Wes helped him get. He was his protege. I mean, his first movie that he ever directed was Wes Craven's Dracula 2000. That was directed by Patrick Lussier. So he did anyway. He did it as well. All the cast did it. So, and a bunch of people. It was really cool. But when you're watching that scene, you don't know it. But
Yeah.
now that I know that,
Hmm.
when I go back and see this, it's like it's going to have a lot more meaning to it when
Yeah.
you hear that.
Definitely.
And the other cameos, which were great, was of course Matthew Lillard, Stu, doing the voice of the ghost face from the flamethrower with Stab.
Yeah. I always forget to listen for that. I had read that online, and then I just totally forget to listen for it when I'm in the theater.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to listen so hard when it comes out. But this blank is lit,
Yeah.
And then whenever they're in the house and he says "Cool house, Freeman,"
Yeah.
you hear a voice, and that's
Hmm.
that's Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people now who have seen it after knowing that, and they're like, once you know who it is, you hear it right away. You can say, "Oh, that's
Hmm.
Stu. That's Matthew Lillard's voice," like really clear.
Ah.
And so I'm very excited to hear that again. So those little touches were all really, really cool. I thought that Radio Silence did, and
Yeah.
they weren't necessary,
Well.
Allison. They didn't have to
Mm-mm.
do any of that stuff,
Yeah.
and so it says a lot that they did that. Now there is the last character that I'm going to talk about that we have not discussed, who is new, is going to be some of my folks here in the chat are not going to be happy about it. They already know. Again, this is a kind of a polarizing character in some ways, but I saved her for last, and then we're going to get to the OG3. They're going to be our last that we get to. But it has to be her Mrs. or Ms. I should say Amber Freeman. Look at that. Now that face encapsulates her entire character right there. I'm telling you what, and this is nothing against Mikey Madison, the actor. She was great. The character of Amber is what I'm talking about. How they wrote her personality, how they wrote her, what she said. I absolutely could not stand her as a character. I'm just going to tell you straight up how I feel. Could not stand her until the reveal. And when we knew she was Ghostface, then I loved her. So from the reveal, for all I loved her because she played a great psychopathic
Hmm.
person. She was awesome. But before that, to me, she was just this angry, upset, bitter, gnarly kind of person. Tell that. Look at that, Allison. That is it right there. That's how I felt about her every time I saw her. So after the reveal, big fan. So tell me about Amber. What did you think of her as a character, and then what did you think of her as a killer?
I liked her as a character. I
Okay.
understand that you thought that she was just like whiny, but like she was a teenager, so that's kind of how teenagers are. I would know. I was one. Um, and I complained and why I was kind of yeah, like that. And so I get that. And you also have to remember that she was a psychopath. So she until the reveal when she is allowed to be herself, she is a psychopath trying to pretend to be a normal human being. So
Yes.
like she
Right.
was clearly not very good at that. So she was maybe imitating people around her and not doing it well.
Right.
But I liked her. I thought she was funny. And then I liked her after the reveal. I thought she was insane. So that's
Yes. So insane, and she did such a good job being insane.
yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I love that, and I love that part of it. Like I totally did. Like when she became that crazy self where she could just be herself. She didn't
yeah,
have to pretend. To your point anymore, she was great and fantastic.
yeah,
The door music singers were definitely tongue in cheek. Yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, Stephen. Yeah, there were so many tongue in cheek nods to Wes that were just fantastic. I loved it, and Carrie says she loves them too. Love the jump scares. Yeah, it was. It would not have felt like a Scream film if you took all that stuff out,
yeah,
right? It's not. There's certain expectations that we have, for a Scream movie, and although this is not Wes Craven, of course, never will be another Wes Craven Scream film, but they it's a careful balance of old and new. I thought they did a good job of kind of introducing their personality into the kills, into some of the pacing, some of the other things.
yeah,
But they also left it a Scream movie. They didn't jack what made it successful.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I also have
Dang.
to um I also have to point out just how gross Amber and Richie's relationship is, because there is a big age difference there. So if Richie had lived, he would be going to
Yes.
jail.
Yes. Super duper creepy perv. I'm telling yeah. And when I watched the movie, it didn't dawn on me initially.
Yeah.
But then when I started thinking about it, I said, wait a second. He's like 24, 23, 24 years old. She's like 17,
Yeah.
18,
No, I
17.
would have thought that he was in his late 20s. He seemed
Yeah.
older because he is around the same age as Sam. Sam
Sam,
has
I
been
think
gone
Sam's,
for 8 years or something.
yeah, I think Sam was around, I think she was 24, I believe.
Okay.
So I think they're around the same age, but even still, we're talking mid 20s here. Even,
Yeah.
this is a high school girl.
Yeah.
This is stuff people get arrested for every single day. Every single day.
Yeah.
So, Top Gun. Yeah. Well, yeah. So some people may not find it believable. I didn't have a problem with her being believable. It wasn't for me. It wasn't an issue of believability. It was just an issue of her personality. I just didn't like her. I
Hmm.
just did not think she was. I couldn't stand her character. And I never once doubted her as far as believing that she felt this way or she was this way. I just wasn't a fan of her personality. However, yes, she was Austin. Absolutely, she was great as a ghost face. I think she was as well. Now,
I have to
go ahead.
chime in.
Yeah.
I think she did most of the killings. Has
Yes.
anyone gone through and done that analysis? I know people probably have, but like
Yeah.
Richie is kind of around for
Right.
most of them.
Yes.
So,
And Radio Silence even confirmed that in an interview
okay.
recently. They actually said yes that when they talked to Guy and James, who wrote the movie, that yeah, Amber was definitely the primary killer. She did
Okay.
most of the killing. They said that the scene where Judy Hicks, which I didn't even mention Judy Hicks yet, when Judy Hicks was killed and Wes was killed. And they said that both of them were there for that one. That was two of them. So I think we had Amber outside because Amber had this real frenzied, what the chop 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 chop
Yeah.
chop style. And inside, we don't see that. You notice how the style was different. It was
Yeah.
through the neck. It was slow. It was not like Amber's style. So Radio Silence said that was the one time in the film where both of them are unaccounted for, and that they were both on the scene. So that was a dual killing. And then the beginning opening kill also could have been Richie as well. It's a possibility. Now, they haven't confirmed either way if it was Amber or Richie because that video file, it was easily could have been it was a pre-recorded file. That's easy. That could have been Amber
Yeah.
showing it herself, and she's standing outside. So
I mean, and she gets stabbed a lot, so
she
that
does.
could be Amber.
That's the first time we see that frenzied stabbing attack, which we've never seen in the Scream movie. So I do, yeah. I mean, so Radio Silence confirmed it. Majority of these kills were all Amber. And Richie, I think, was really the mastermind. He was really the one. He was the Billy. She was the Stu. In terms of dynamic goes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have even talked. Even Radio Silence said, it's kind of like Richie had the grand plans. He had this movie he wanted to do, and but he didn't really want to get his hands too dirty either.
Yeah.
It's like he was the idea guy, and she was the one executing his ideas mostly.
Yeah.
So. And while we're talking about the killers again, as far as Richie, how did you feel about the reveal of Richie? So Sydney's going through the house, and how about I know I'm kind of jumping to Sydney now, but I love when she's going through the house and she's like, "You have 5 seconds to come out, or I'm shooting," and so she goes to every door and she's bang, she shoots into every single door. I'm like, look at her, she has come a long way. I mean, look at that. She is not playing around. Even that face, she is determined. She is a fighter, a survivor, and she is going to win. And so she shoots into the closet, and you hear someone, ow, and whatever, and it's Richie, and she shoots him in the leg. And how do you feel about the reveal, though, of Richie when it became apparent that he was the second killer?
I think by that time I kind of knew it was coming because there were so few people left. I didn't mind it. It was fine. I thought it was great when not great, but it was, I sort of saw the stab coming for Sam.
For Sam, yeah. It kind of had that Charlie feel with Kirby. Because he's out of costume.
Yeah.
And and that's the other thing I want to mention too that for me was disappointing because in Scream 2, 3, and 4 we have at least one of the killers revealed in a costume. They take the mask off, right? So we have Mickey taking off his mask. In 3 we have Roman. We don't see Angelina's reveal because he either kills her or she's gone. And then in Scream 4 we see Jill take the mask off. And it's like, man, I wanted in this movie at least one of them because I like to milk it. I like on the podcast I told you, I grew up with Scooby-Doo as my first horror film when I was like 6, okay? And taking the mask off was a big deal to this day to me. I love the reveal. And so they did not do that, though. They did what we saw in Scream 1, because Scream 1, there was no Ghostface mask reveal either. But that was different because it was the first one. It set the precedence of it. But how did you feel about that? I mean, it may just be it's one of my own pet peeves, and I get that. But would you have liked to have seen a reveal done with the mask?
No, that doesn't really matter to me. But we do get that one moment when I think Amber was running around in the costume in the house at the end, and then she rips the mask off.
She does.
I think there was that.
They did do that, but we already knew at that point
Yeah.
it was Amber. But yeah. Hey, Bearded, he gives a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Bearded. Much appreciate you, brother. Appreciate your support. It means a lot. It really does. You guys getting your super chats, it really helps the channel continue. It helps me to continue with the software and the different things that I have to use to create these videos for you guys that I enjoy doing. And it really does help to go to keep things improving and elevating the videos. So I really appreciate your support. Every single super chat, it means a lot. Thank you guys. So thank you, Bearded. All right. Now, we have, I think it's time. Allison, I think it's time we get to the OG3.
Okay, well, but you didn't talk about
Oh,
Judy and um,
Judy.
Judy
You're right.
and what her son's name, but their
Well,
scene where they get killed, because that's like
yeah,
the opening
that's
of
trure.
Scream 3. So
Yeah, okay,
that
fair
was
enough.
my homage that I loved.
I absolutely was. It was very much. And you know, there were a couple of scenes that were deleted because we know the first cut of this film was 2 hours and 27 minutes. And the studio says, no, that's too long. You guys got to cut it under 2 hours. So they had to go back. And, you know, 30 minutes is a lot of time to
Yeah.
cut out of a movie. You know, it's not like 5 or 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And I broke a rule of live streaming. You never drink in conversation, mid conversation. But I had to. My throat was about to crack. Anyway, so, you know, what was I saying? This is fun. My brain,
They had to cut a lot.
they had to cut
30
time.
minutes.
See, this is how you guys all know this is live. People watching this on the replay, you know this is live because there's no net, man. We just go and we just flow. So anyway, getting back to what I'm talking about here. So yeah, they had to cut 30 minutes out, and so a lot of stuff was cut for time, and so a lot of the scenes, you know, we did miss, but there were a couple of scenes. There was one here with, look at this scene of Judy Hicks. Look at that face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Allison, I don't know about you, but the minute I saw this in one of the very last trailers that they put out, in fact, I think it was the last trailer actually, they put out a week before it came out. When I saw that face, all I could think of is Scream 4. That's her upstairs when she comes out of the darkness and talks to
Yeah.
Sydney. Remember
Yeah.
that? And it's those eyes. It was the same look. I said, oh my gosh. So tell me, and I have to say, if on my prediction video, I was wrong. I predicted that she was going to be the mastermind. I thought there was going to be two killers and her pulling the strings as the sheriff because she dates all the way back to 96. She went to school with Sydney, high school with Stu and Billy. So she was there in those 96 events. And so I said she's going to be the one that's pulling the strings. And as we know, far from it. And she was actually killed fairly early in the show. So what did you feel about Judy? And do you think it was the right call to kill her? Or would you like to have seen more out of Judy Hicks in this movie?
I thought she was great in this one. I thought her character was way toned down, which I really
Yes,
liked because she was psychotic in 4. Um,
she was. Yes,
yeah. I did not mind her death because I didn't really know much about her. She was kind of like
right.
hitting on Dewey in 4, and now she was the sheriff, and that's all that I really knew about her. And she had this son that, for some reason, was not in 4. So I
Yep.
don't know. I didn't care. I
Yeah. That's kind of sad because I agree. It's like she, you know, they didn't really do anything with her. She
yeah.
was just kind of there, you know, and she has that one scene where she's telling Sam, "You should leave. You know, you should leave town. You're not good here."
Yeah.
They obviously had a history, you know,
Mhm.
and you know, I don't know. I was disappointed, but I wanted to see more from
Yeah.
Judy. So, Jaguar, hey, $10 super chat. Thank you, Jaguar. Appreciate you. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Hashtag Team Stew. Most of Allison's to me. I know. Hashtag Stew Gang. Thank you for helping keep Stew alive in our hearts. Tell fate to stop being a hater. You're right, Jaguar. Thank you so much for that super chat, Jaguar. I appreciate that. And yes, Fate decided, my good friend, Fate decided from the Lethal Collective, who is the biggest Stu hater. Not hater, he loves him in Stu Green 1, but as far as hating him coming back. And we have had battles on the channel back and forth on why it will not happen.
Hmm.
Fate decided it's something else. Yeah, I know. He's my boy, though. Love that. And then Carrie says, Jaguar, that's awesome. Your super chat is bomb fire. Yes. So anyway, we won't go back to Stu, but I had to. I had to acknowledge that and say, Jaguar, you're absolutely right. And you're welcome. I am glad to keep him alive in your heart. And I promise you, as long as I have this channel, I will keep Stu alive. The Stu train is going to keep going. I don't care if it's just building one track link at a time. It's going to happen. And yes, Allison, the greatest perhaps Easter egg in the movie when Wes closes the fridge as he's getting the stuff ready for dinner, and there's the blue sticky note, lemon squares in the fridge. I just like, yes, I'm like, you went there. You went there, Radio Silence. I was so happy. So tell me, did that warm your heart, or what did you feel about that scene? I just thought it was great.
Yeah, it warmed my heart. I could have done with or without it. Didn't matter. I didn't need to hear about the lemon squares again, but I appreciated it when it was
Yes,
in. It made everyone in the theater laugh. So
it did. It was such a great moment. I mean, the people that I were with, because I went with like four other people that came with me when we went and saw it. Excuse me. And the minute that note was on the board, I looked at all of them. We're all looking at her like, "Oh yes, yes," because any little callback, it's
yeah,
meaningful. It's
yeah.
it's it's cool. All right, I think it now is time. We're going to transition to talk about our OG3, and I'm going to start probably. I'll tell you what. Let's save Dewey. We're going to end with
Okay.
Dewey. Okay. I was going to start with him, then I'm just switched up. So let's start off with our Scream Queen, our final girl, the queen of the franchise, Mrs. Nev Campbell, otherwise known as Sydney Prescott. So, what did you feel about the character of Sydney in the movie, and Nev's performance?
I thought her performance was great as always. I thought her character was great as well. I thought it was written really well. Um, yeah, I thought she just gave off the air of I'm so over this and let's just go and finish it. I'm just gonna go back there, or when she has to, once Dewey is killed. Um, and yeah, I thought she was great. I don't really have she like didn't have a big part in the movie, which I was okay
Right.
with. Because she's
Yeah.
been doing this for 25 years. She's
A
over it.
long
She doesn't
time.
want to. She has kids now.
Right. She's got kids to
So
think of. Even she even says that. Member to Dewey in the
yeah,
line. She's like, I got kids to think of, but nothing's going to get me back to Woodsboro. And then, of course, sadly, we
yeah.
know what ultimately did. But yeah, I agree with you on Sydney. I think that she didn't have a whole lot to do in the writing,
Hmm.
but I thought that she did great. She was as confident, as in control as ever. I mean, to see her go from Scream 1, where she's this kid in high school who's running for her life, she's terrified, and to see her arc slowly develop in 2, and then in 3, and then 4, and then now she is just, I mean, it was right on track, right on
Yeah.
what you would expect to see. Total in control. She is a bad blink, and I'm telling you what, she's going to always be that way, and I hope that they never kill her. I don't think she will come back to be killed.
No.
I think if they say, hey, we're going to kill you off, she's going to say, I'll pass, I'm out.
Yeah.
She's not going to come back for that. And Wes Craven, I'm telling you what, he would never want her to die like that. That
Hmm.
would just never. He just would. I don't believe that he would.
Yeah. And I see that somebody in your chat says that I'm glad she had kids with Mark from Scream 3, and I like that Easter egg, and I hope it is. I hope it is Detective Kincaid, but I don't think
Yes.
we will ever see Patrick Dempsey in a Scream movie again.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think we'll see him either. But I do think it's so cool that we know that they made that happen. Because I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I was always wanting that to happen since Scream 3. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, they need to be together. And I was so hoping that they were going to be married in 4,
Hmm.
and it didn't happen. So I love the fact that they actually finally said it was Mark. I was like, the minute I heard Mark again in the theater, I was like, yes! Like I said it out
Yeah.
loud. I was so excited to hear.
Yeah. She may have been married to him already in 4, because otherwise I
True.
don't know what was going on between 3 and 5 that would make them reunite and get married. I would like to know if there was something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a very good point. And so, Yeah. Carrie. We'll see you, Carrie.
Mhm.
Appreciate you as
Yeah.
always. And yeah, absolutely. Allison's got. Oh yeah, Allison's fantastic. You guys, I'm telling you, when you go check out her podcast page, man, you're just gonna sit down and enjoy yourself for a while. Don't be in any hurry because it's some good interviews. They're great. Yeah. So take care, Carrie. Appreciate you as always. All right. So now I think it's time to talk about Gail. So how did you feel about Gail and her role in this film?
Um, I mean, she did about as much as Sydney did. I thought she was
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, she wasn't, her role wasn't as big. I thought she did. I thought her performance was great. I like that she came back once her producer sent her there. Otherwise, I thought she was living her best life, and I
Yeah.
thought I was like totally on board with her decision to like get a divorce because her husband couldn't hack it in New York. But I don't know. Sometimes you gotta do what's best for you, and it seems like she did that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. She did good. I think her scene, like after and her scene with Dewey when they first had that talk on the sidewalk,
yeah,
right? That was a powerful scene when
hmm
Dewey's talking about how lamenting, and we're going to talk about him in a second, but his whole performance was just so good, and
oh
how,
yeah,
man, and he was talking about how I left you, it was my fault, I'm the one that after 2 months left in the middle of the night, I was a coward, and she's
hmm
like, Dewey, you're a lot of things, but you're not a coward, and he's just like, oh, it just gets you because it's so true, and they that was such a powerful scene to me for
yeah,
Gail and him together,
hmm
and one of the most powerful of the franchise, in my opinion. So she did good. And then after he dies, the scenes I thought were powerful as
yeah,
well. I
hmm
thought that it was. I felt it. Like I really
yeah.
felt those emotions,
I
and
felt more emotion over her dealing with his death than I actually did when he died.
I did too. Okay, I'm not the only
Yeah,
one that felt that way. Like I'm like when it happened, the
yeah,
emotion I mentioned. I touched on this earlier when Amber kills him, and she says it's an honor.
hmm
Oh, I that my sadness went to anger and hatred towards this Ghostface killer. And I will never forget when I said that when I told the people that was next to me, I'm like, I hope this person gets ripped in half and shredded for killing. And it's just the way it's an honor. And I'm like, no, this is Dewey. This is icon. He's an icon of this franchise.
that's why it was an
And
honor.
that's why it was an honor. I know, and that's what just ticked me off. I was like, no, you don't say that. And so let me just say, while we're talking about that, when the reveal comes later, and Amber's in the kitchen, and I was so ready. I said I was so ready for the Wicked Witch of the West to get fried in that kitchen scene because we knew from the trailer, unfortunately, again,
Yeah.
should have not been put in there. Just saying. We knew it was her that was going to be on
Well,
fire.
I did not know it was her. I couldn't tell in the trailer who it was that was going to be on fire. So, because
Yeah.
I didn't look at it that
Well, that's
detailed.
good.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise. Okay, that's
Yep.
good.
hmm
As being as a content creator and I dive in. I slow the trailers down to just like one
Yeah.
tenth of the speed. I freeze frame everything,
Yep.
and so unfortunately, I could tell her sleeves, her rings. I knew right away it was going to be her, but I still didn't know what that meant for the character. I didn't know what
hmm
was going to happen to her.
Yeah.
I mean, like what led up to that. So I knew that she was going to get on fire before it happened, and I was so ready. I was sitting like, "Come on,
hmm
burn, burn!" And because it's Dewey, it was because that's what she did to Dewey. And so anyway, so yeah, Gail though, back to Gail. She I thought she was great, and she did well. And now we're gonna finish up here with the OG3 with this what I feel or who I feel is in the star of the show, the one that I feel I think David Arquette gave possibly his very best performance. I mentioned it to you on our podcast
hmm
together. I think it was arguably his best performance of the franchise, and I think that it was this. He was the star of the show for the OG3, maybe the whole cast,
Yeah.
but really. So, what did you think about Dewey in this version of him now? This broken down shell of who he used to be.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I thought David Arquette did a great job. He was the only one of the original three who stayed in Woodsboro, or well, he came
Yeah,
back to Woodsboro.
right.
But I think they were kind of foreshadowing that he was going to be the one to die because
Yes.
he hit rock bottom. He was an alcoholic living in a trailer,
Yep. That's right.
divorced. Like, where else? Where do you go from there? He's not going to be made sheriff again. Probably
Right.
not. I
Probably
don't know.
not.
But yeah, I thought his acting was great. I love that. I thought he was funny at times and really
Yep.
sad most of the other times. So,
Yeah. It's so
and
true.
helpful.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very helpful. And I'm going to throw an idea your way, and I'm going to just I'm going to pick your brain on it. So I, I've heard it said even by Radio Silence that they had to kill Dewey to get Sydney back to Woodsboro, and I do not agree with that because to me, all you had to do here was have an attack on Dewey in the hospital and put him in ICU, severe or critical condition, and Sydney, I believe Sydney would have come. I think that look, we don't know. Dewey's touch and go, right? We don't know if he's going to survive this or not. I think that would have been enough to get her there. And now she comes back down. She does what she does. He's recovering. Judy's dead. The sheriff's dead now. So why couldn't they have done something where, or well, I guess the why's because they didn't want to, but I should say what if they had done something like he survives and this is kind of his redemption arc from being that alcoholic we saw in the beginning to now getting back on his feet. He has purpose now because he was able to save the kids in the hospital, and now he's going to be reenlisted as sheriff, and then he's just there. Now he doesn't mean he has to be in 6 where you bring him in, but you could see him just a little bit like a cameo of him in 6, like hi guys or we are. I'm just saying I wish Radio Silence would have given this new generation of fans who've not seen the old movies a chance to love him like we love him from the first movies. Give him a chance to be loved and continue on because David Arquette genuinely loves to play the character of Dewey. He's like giddy about it. If you see him in interviews, he loves that character. He's like, I'm always so happy to come back. And his whole face lights up. So he would have come back, right? So anyway, you could have had a situation where you never see Sydney again or Gail, but Dewey's still the sheriff. He's still around. And I don't know. My thought was, don't kill him, let him survive, and let's see what happens next. How do you feel about that? Would you have liked to have seen him live, or do you feel like it was the right decision?
I feel like it was the right decision because he had hit such rock bottom. I feel like your scenario is a little bit too, Saturday morning special.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
I feel like one of the three had to die. And since he was an alcoholic living in his trailer, it was
Yeah.
fair to let him go.
Well, and they did pretty much airmail it, right? I mean, in the trailer even, because I'd been talking about it on my channel ever since the first trailer dropped in October. I said Dewey's dead. I mean, I was telling everyone, I said he is going to die. I was, and you can go back and watch the old videos. I mean, every video, I'm like, Dewey is going to die. They're setting it. I don't want him to die, but they're setting it up. You mentioned that a minute ago. They're letting us know to be prepared so that when we see it, it's not going to shock us. And that's what they followed through and exactly did that. So, yeah. But now I would have much rather have seen Gail die. Not that, I have no problems with Gail. It sounds terrible, but if you're going to have to kill one of the OG3s to raise the stakes, I think you killed Gail. You killed Gail, and then Dewey's back in it because he's got to avenge her killer. So I mean, you could go all those different directions, but anyway, they didn't,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I liked
So
it that it was three women at the end going after the
yeah,
killers. So,
yeah. I mean, that's cool too.
yeah.
But yeah, poor Dewey. He definitely was a hero and an icon. And I got to tell you, whenever that scene came, and whenever Sydney's coming in and Gail's sitting there in the lobby and she's distraught, she's in shock, looking out the window. I felt it. I mean, I literally had tears streaming. I seriously did. I mean, I had to get a napkin and blow my nose, the whole darn thing, because I felt it, and the realization hit me right then when they were hugging that I'm never going to see Dewey again. Like it's over. Like it's actually over, and I love this character so much, and so he's gone. He's not
Yeah.
coming back.
I hate to say this, but I teared up at the very end when it said For Wes on the screen way more than
Oh,
I did when Dewey died. I don't
yes.
I don't know.
Hey,
I was
but
like,
that's
one of them has to go. Oh well.
right. Well, and that's okay because when that Four West banner came up and it's real quiet too, like there's like no music. If I remember right, they don't have any music
Yeah.
playing either. It's silent. It's Four West, like a moment of silence,
Hmm.
moment of reverence, and oh, I got chill bumps. Oh, it does every time I talk about it. I swear, they hit my arms right now. It's waves.
Yeah.
It just gets me every time. You know. So yeah, Scream Five was just an incredible movie, and I feel like, I mean, look what a great cast we have
Hmm.
here, and
Yeah.
just, and I felt like, and I will ask you this: we haven't really touched much on the radio silence, the directorial angles, the way they shot the film. How did you feel about the movie in terms of Radio Silence's style while also balancing Wes's style to pay tribute to him too? How did you feel about the Radio Silence version of Scream?
I really liked it. Like I said, it was very reminiscent of Scream 1. So, I was a big fan. Um, I don't
Hmm.
I don't usually pay attention to direction that much, but it made me feel like Scream did the first time that I
Yeah.
watched it. So,
Yep. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I felt the same way, and it was definitely a callback, and to the original. And of course, the original is always going to be the original. It's obviously
yeah.
it's untouchable.
Hmm.
It's on the top shelf that none of us are tall enough to reach. It's
Yeah.
going to always be up there, but that's where it should be. It's okay, you know. But yeah, it was a great movie, and
Yeah.
I thought they did such a great job with it. And so yeah, I think that overall we have a winner in Scream Five, don't you?
Oh
I think
yeah.
we have a winner, and we saw that the movie just went over
Hmm.
$100 million this week. Put a video out a couple days ago. It hit at 106 million
Yep.
worldwide, and it's still going to have at least another 2 to 3 weeks in the theaters, I would think.
Yeah.
Still, I was looking earlier at my local cinemas and contemplating going back again and looking at show times, and they're still showing. They're not showing as many now.
Yeah.
They've cut back on the number already. I'm like, okay, because before it was like 10 a.m., then 12, and then whatever. Now it starts at 1, so they cut them.
Yeah.
But that's natural. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's okay. It's 3 weeks. We're 3 weeks
Hmm.
out. So, but the good news is, last week they still got 7 million in, and which is really good still, and I think we'll still see another 3 to 4 or 5 million come in this coming week. And I predicted that domestically it would hit 80,
Hmm.
and right now it's just over 60. So I think I might have overshot just a little bit on the domestic number. I said it was going to 80 to 100, excuse me, to 100. But I do think we might hit 70 because it's over 60 and we got at least 2 or 3 weeks left. So how do you think it's going to finish forecasting? Do you think it'll break 70? Do you think it'll hit that high?
It's at 60 right now?
It's about 60, just over a little bit over 60 now. Yeah,
Yeah,
61.
I think the people that saw it the first week are going to start going back. Um
Yes.
so I think that'll help it. And you said it made over 100 million. So where's the other 40 million? Is that
Yeah,
international?
that's international.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
All right.
international. Yes, that is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
So they've
Yeah.
already doubled their budget. So wasn't their budget 50 million?
It was 24.
24. Okay, so
Yeah,
they've
they're
already quadrupled their budget. They're fine.
they're in good shape. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, they're definitely getting a 6. I mean, yeah, there's.
Yeah.
I think that it's literally just a matter of time. I mean, I imagine they're probably already have it written,
Yeah, or at least an
or
outline.
the outline. Yeah, outline's done, and yeah, Radio Silence and Southbound. So, guys, what we'll do now is I thought we could turn to the chat now, Allison, for our last few minutes,
Hmm.
and let's just see what some questions we have in the chat are. And so, if you guys have a question now, this is the time. I am going to be looking near here at the new chats coming in. So there are a lot of your chats I haven't gotten to, and for those of you who joined late, I did share with you at the beginning that if I don't get to your chat or we don't see it in time, it's not personal. It's just the way it goes, without having a moderator to get these out. However, if you want to ensure your chat is acknowledged here in the chat on the stream, be sure you do a super chat. I'll get a notification, and we'll definitely talk about it. But having said all that, we'll go ahead and turn to the chat. So let's take a look at what we got here. So, ad nauseum, which is great now in a while. I think that's a great, funny name. I like that name, ad nauseum. So, ask this question. You guys think we could get more than 2 killers in the next film? Okay. Allison, I'll let you go first, and then I'll give you my thoughts on that.
I mean, we always could. Nothing is impossible. I just think it would get very confusing. I don't know. What other horror movies have had more than two killers?
Ooh, yeah, it's not common at all. It's usually
Yeah.
one. Usually it's very rare that it's even 2. That's
Yeah.
even, Scream's kind of has, it's kind of unique in that way.
Hmm.
3 killers, wow, that would be kind of going next level. Now, here's my thoughts on that. If you don't have 3 actual killers like in costume, I've always advocated for having a mastermind.
Hmm.
So it's a third person, but they may not be killing. They may be pulling the strings. The Roman Bridger of Scream
Yeah.
1 who manipulated Billy and got things in motion with Stu and all that. So I think we absolutely could get a third killer, but I would be just as happy having a mastermind, a third, that's,
So you want a jigsaw?
yeah, there you go. I want a jigsaw. That's a good way to say it. I do. Um, Green Gaze, you're not even reading the chat box. Well, Green, I just talked about that. Got to be patient, man. Got to be patient. Goodness. Let's take a look here. I love what John said, too. John says, going back again next week to support the movie to get another one. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, if you guys are able to go and see it a second time, a third time, whatever, one more time, however many times you've seen it, go for it. Every single ticket sale is counting on these box office numbers, and we want to Scream 6. We want to see the trilogy for Radio Silence. So, yeah, absolutely. Wayne, just checking in. Wayne says to my fellow Aussies, yeah, from Leigh and Wanell and James Wan, absolutely, to make future Scream movie. That would be, okay. The other day I was on a live stream. Allison's already shaking her head.
No.
You're like totally against it. I can see you're like, nope, no James Wan.
I don't need Scream in the Saw universe. Thank you.
So, okay, so let me ask you, Allison. Let's be specific. So, is there something in particular about James Wan's directing style that you don't like, or that you think may not get properly allocated for a Scream movie?
I just don't like torture porn, so I don't want to see Scream become a torture porn movie.
Got
So
you. Fair. That's fair.
I
Now,
love the
what?
grittiness of Saw,
Mhm.
but also I don't think that would be appropriate for a Scream movie. So
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: if they were, let's say that James Wan didn't write it, it was written by Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt. They come back, same writers, but they hire James Wan to direct the movie. So he's not writing it. So it's going to be the same screen, but it's going to be James Wan's style of cinematography and things. Do you think the way he films his movies, like, because he does a lot of those really unique shots where he'll there was a scene in Malignant that I'd mentioned on the podcast with you that I love, because there's a scene where she's in her house and she's walking upstairs, and it's like the camera all of a sudden takes this view up above the house, but that's under the roof, and you can see her walking like from
yeah,
a bird's eye view. That's what I'm trying to say. And I said that's so unique. It's like James Wan is visually, I think he's great, and the way he does his films visually. But so you're saying more, so from if I feel you right, you're talking more like just don't bring the Saw elements to it, the actual on
yeah,
screen.
and also don't bring the malignant elements to it either, because I did not like Malignant. Um, Maybe the Conjuring dir- s-
Yeah.
direction could be effective, but I don't know. I wouldn't want him to direct a Scream movie. I think
Okay.
Radio Silence did a really good job. So
Yeah.
and their team.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the record, I'm definitely advocating for Radio Silence to come back. I
Yeah.
want them, because I believe that this movie was hard because you've got the pressure of Wes Craven on your shoulders. You're the first people to take his franchise,
Hmm.
and you're trying to please the fans. You're trying to honor Wes, his family, everybody. So
Yeah.
the pressure was immense, Allison, on their
Yep.
shoulders. So now they've got it done. They've got that behind them. So now it could start to move towards being radio silence Scream films. And I think that I want to see what they bring in six. I think six is a big movie for them because I think that's where they can really get further away from Wes. Not that that's I mean, not that that's, you want to. I'm just saying they can invoke more of them. I guess is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think I want a non Wes Craven-esque Scream movie.
Right.
So,
That's fair. I mean, and I don't either. Wes made Scream. I mean, Kevin Williamson, of course, he wrote some great characters and some great lines, but Wes is the one that took that off of paper and made it
hmm,
something that we adore and that we love and that we go back to over and over again.
yeah.
And that's, man, it's not easy to do. He was a master. He was a legend. So, all right, let's see if we got a couple more questions here, and then we'll call it a night. Chad's saying it's time for three killers. We'll see,
I won't be able to keep that straight, so let's stop at two.
right? Let's see, Greg. Hey, what's up, Greg? Good to see you tonight. The next movie should be set around Christmas. It would be an excuse for everyone to come back to town rather than sending everyone to the same college. So, okay, so you're working off the idea of maybe they're going to follow Wes's footsteps and have Tara going to college and maybe Sam living up there with her or something. Yeah, what do you think, Allison? What do you think about a Christmas Scream movie with Christmas trees and ornaments?
If it would be done well, fine.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if throwing a holiday into Scream is really appropriate. It's not a holiday franchise.
right.
Um,
True.
I think it's a unique idea. I kind of like the idea of um, Tara going to college more. Um, yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I stand on that.
So you're kind of liking the idea of the college setting, like kind of
Yeah,
following the Scream 2
hmm,
pattern.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I mean, now will she go to Windsor College? Are they going to go that meta, or is
No,
it
I
going to
hope
be?
not. No, don't make her go to
That's
Winter
too much,
College.
right?
That's
Yeah.
that's too much. We don't need that.
Of course, you can imagine the stories.
Oh
The
yeah,
tragedy here. 20 years
uh,
ago on Windsor
that's just
College.
cheesy. I don't need that.
That's right. I agree. Let's not get crazy now.
Yeah.
You know. And now I've seen. Where is this at? I just saw something here. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to find your comment here. Um, where you were talking about Dewey, and I think I found one of them here. So where I've heard the idea said that, and from several people, that they would love to see Dewey come back. What if he's alive? Because we only saw one body bag. Here it is, Reagan. Two bodies in the hospital, only one body bag that we saw, and a thanking emoji. Now, that's true. We only saw one body bag, but I think what I always go back to, Allison, and I want to hear your thoughts after this. I always go back to it's less to me about the body bag as it is the kill. I
Yeah.
mean, he was gutted. Really, he knife in the sternum up, going up his sternum,
Hmm.
and then a second knife in the back,
Yeah.
ripped all the way across his kidneys, all of the lower back,
Yep.
and the blood on the floor. This guy bled out. I mean,
Yeah.
and the way they even made Dewey look there at the end, he didn't blink his eyes. His eyes were steady. I mean, to me, the death itself, I felt more than confident he's not returning. That was a very exclamation point way to do it. And so I do appreciate the idea of there being only one body bag. Could there be a misdirection? And I like the idea. I do. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Allison, you feel any different?
No, they wouldn't have let Gail think that he was dead if he wasn't dead. So
That's a good point. Yeah, because if he was really alive, they wouldn't put Gail and Sydney through all that. They would
yeah.
not have. There's no way. They would have been known that he was alive and maybe he was in a critical condition
Hmm.
and he might die. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, and just because we couldn't read the name on the body bag doesn't mean Gail couldn't, because Gail was there and closer to it. And
Yes.
just because we only saw one body bag, they could have still been mopping up the blood from the cop that was killed. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Very good. I think so. So Reagan, I hear you, man. And in my heartstrings say yes, but my brain says no.
I
Sorry
would
on that one.
scream. I would scream if he came back in the next one. I'd be like, there's no way he survived. I'm leaving now.
You would, Allison will get up in the middle of the movie and just walk out, not even
Yeah.
finish it. All right, couple more. Then we're going to wrap up. Charlie Greer asked the question: what actress would you both want as the opening kill for Six? Maybe another recent popular horror actress. Oh, I have one, but I want to hear yours first, Allison. Do you
The
have someone in mind?
the person that always comes to mind is Emma Stone. I don't know if
Ah,
you could do
okay.
a horror movie. I mean, she did Zombieland, but that's like horror comedy. But
Yeah,
I don't know. That would just be interesting because I love her. So,
yeah. Oh, she's great.
yeah.
Okay, I got one for you. Here's my opening kill for Scream 6. Samara Weaving, who was starred
Yeah.
in Ready or Not,
Yeah.
who has a history with radio silence from Ready or Not. She's a phenomenal actress, and it would be a great big name opening kill. It would be very much like the old school
Yeah.
killing with Drew Barrymore and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that's my pick, Charlie and Allison. I want Samara Weaving to appear in the opening, and she does not survive.
Yeah. That would be great.
It would be so great. Let's see here. All right, I'm looking for one final question. I'm looking for a really amazing one. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Jaden's correct. Yeah, they wouldn't make those emotional moments. Yeah, it's true. I think so too. Yeah, I think Dewey definitely did not live. Alrighty. Okay, last one. Jaguar will close us out. Last comment for tonight. Why did they make Dewey die as a lonely, disgraced alcoholic? Oh, why did they make him get close enough to Ghostface to get stabbed if he had a gun? So disrespectful. Oh, well, look, either way, they're going to kill him. He's going to die. And, I do hate that he was distracted by his cell phone because he was going to take the headshot.
Hmm.
Remember? He had the
Yeah.
gun, and then,
He learned from Scream 3. So,
yes, he did. He went back to try to do the double tap, and then Gail calls him, and that distracts him just enough for Amber
yeah.
to get up, and bam. So I hate that. And Allison, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, d- you know, do you think they could have done it a better way? I guess is what Jaguar is getting at. Could it have been done better?
Um, no, he has been through a lot throughout this franchise, and I think he had a limp and nerve damage, and he'd lost his job. But I thought his kill scene was the most dramatic of all of them.
Yeah.
There's the music and the s- s- the dim lighting, and then he
Yep.
gets the knives dragged up his body, and the it's an honor. So I thought it was
Yeah.
an epic kill, even though he wasn't doing so well in his life. He got
Right.
I thought the most ceremonious kill.
Yeah, that's a good word. That
Yeah.
no, that was a good word. So there's some. It stood out more than anybody by hands down.
Yeah, we paid the most
And
attention and spent the most time on it.
yeah,
So,
that's right. Fantastic. Now, okay, so Allison, for those who have not yet visited your podcast page and your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed, let everyone know in the chat and those who are watching on replay after this. Tell us about your podcast? What brought you into doing horror podcasting, and what brought you on your journey?
so my podcast is called Who's There, a podcast about horror fans. I wanted to do a podcast where I got to talk to people, my friends, and now just people who I've never met before about horror movies. Because during the pandemic, my friend Jody invited me and a handful of other people from a Facebook group to start playing horror movie trivia every Sunday night.
Oh, nice.
And half of the time we just talked about horror movies, and I was learning so much. And also, I was learning that there were so many different types of people that were horror fans. Um, I I sometimes just had thought that horror fans were really weird people, and like maybe I was one of those really weird people, but also like I'm like into theater and really girly and like not I don't shop at Hot Topic, which is a bad stereotype, but
Oh no.
um so I was like, "Oh, I want to meet horror fans and I want to talk to them about horror movies and I want to just, debunk the myth that, horror fans are weird people and like unstable
Yes.
sickos."
Thank
So,
you. I mean, because that is some people, it is a stigma. Like
yeah.
people sometimes think, oh my gosh, well, you're into horror movies, and well, I'll give you a great example. Like, you know, Wes Craven's very first, hey, Green Gaze, Wes Craven's very first film, Last House on the Left. Which, by the way, if anyone here in the chat has not seen the original, not that remake. They did a remake in what 2007, something around there, and Wes Craven was executive producer on that, so he did give his blessing on the film, and it wasn't bad for what it was. It wasn't, but if you want to see the real Last House on the Left from 1972, that is the one you need to go see. Wes Craven's very first film. He wrote it, he directed it, and I'm telling you what, it is the one to see. And it was so shocking, and it was so it's so just it makes you feel really, really, really. I don't know how to describe it, Allison. You feel you need a shower. You
Yeah,
just feel
you
like
don't need to watch it more than once.
no.
So,
It is a exactly. It's a one time viewing. And oh hey Charlie, thank you so much for that. I appreciate your support. And yeah, definitely check out Allison's podcast. But the reason I brought up Last House on the Left is because Wes Craven talked a story about one time because he was a college professor. Okay, this is a very educated college professor, and he's making this horror movie because his passion is film. And so he makes this horror movie that is so, and you got to remember, this is 1972, okay? Which is, again, and this stuff's never seen when you're seeing these graphic scenes of,
yeah.
of violence on women and all these things that are going on. And he said that he would go to parties that all of his old friends and college professors, acquaintances, his circle he'd run with, he would go to parties after that movie, and people were like staying 6 feet away from him. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's sick. He must be sick in the
Yeah.
head, you know. And it's stigma. It's what you're talking
Mhm.
about. It's like if you're someone who appreciates these kind of movies, some people will look at you and think, man, there's something wrong with that guy or that girl.
Yeah.
They're just not right in their head somewhere. On the contrary, I believe that people who watch horror movies are perhaps the most well balanced and well in control of their emotion people that I've ever met because we can tap into the fear that we all have and that we repress in life, and we can tap into it through a movie and experience that fear in a safe environment where we're not going to get hurt for real, and that person's not going to come kill us. This is, and we can express that. So I'm not going to get too philosophical. I could go a lot deeper on that, but I'm telling you, there's a psychological component involved in all of this. So that's a great way to start. And what have you found since you started? You've interviewed a lot of people. What have you learned from interviewing other horror fans?
There are just so many different types of people that do all sorts of jobs, and there are parents and some people who don't have kids. Most of the people that I've spoken to do have kids, and that was not something I grew up with because my parents didn't and don't like horror movies. So,
Yeah,
I'm like, how fun would it have been to grow up with parents who would watch horror movies with me? Um,
true.
and I have found that, yeah, a lot of us, we handled the pandemic better because maybe a part of us is a little bit more introverted and
Hmm.
we like not having to go out and see people was, ideal for us.
Yes.
And, um, um, let's see, what else? And sorry, my doorbell just rang.
Oh, I know what that is. Do you need to grab
Yeah.
that real quick? Go ahead.
Um,
Or do we need to? You want to?
no, yeah.
Okay, go
Hold
ahead.
on.
Okay. Okay. No, you're good. So,
Leave it on the
hey,
doorbell.
Josh, I love this. Just truth it. Stu comes back, baby. I love it. I had to mention that here. Um, but if you need to run, Allison, it's okay. I
No,
don't.
no,
I don't
no,
want to.
no,
Okay.
totally fine. No, no.
Okay.
And like we were okay. A lot of us, I won't speak for everyone, but a lot of us
Yeah.
were had already processed the emotions that we would go through during a pandemic because we had already watched so many movies. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
The doorbell is still ringing. Give me
Yeah,
two
yeah. No,
seconds.
you go right ahead. No worries. That's and that's a good point too. And see, and I'm just curious with you guys here in the chat that are still here. We still got 34 people, so that's a good. That's great. Just curious. So, have you ever guys ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like someone is like because you enjoy Scream or you enjoy horror films? Have you ever gotten like someone who's treated you differently because of that? Or I'm just curious, because it definitely is a thing, and I know it happens a lot. And so I'm just, everyone, and I'm just curious in the chat if you guys have experienced what Allison's talking about, and I'm talking about where you have been treated differently or something. I'm just curious. But Allison, yeah, go ahead, Allison. I know we're going to wrap up here in like 2 minutes, so but I'll let you. I want to continue, please, with what you've learned over with your channel and meeting different people that love horror movies.
Just that horror movie fans are just the nicest people and some of the most empathetic and caring people out there, and the horror community is amazing. So that's what I've learned, and I've made so many friends from my podcast. And that trivia group, we still meet every Sunday. So
Nice.
sometimes we don't play trivia at all, and we just talk about the movies or our lives, and it becomes a therapy session. So
I love that.
yeah,
That's awesome. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Well, I have to tell you guys again, everyone, give Allison a lot of love. Give her some love here from the Craven Something Scary family, because she is fantastic, and what she does in her podcast is so entertaining. And so when this video is or this live chat is done, please, you guys, head over there. I have a link in the description of this video. Click it; it'll take you right there. You'll see me for the first today's episode. I'm on today's episode, so you can start right where we left off, and you can learn a little bit more about myself if you're interested, or if not, scroll down and there's a lot of other great guests. Dave McCrae was really a great one I enjoyed that you interviewed as well in December. So they're all really good, all really good. And Allison, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been fun.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. The people who are commenting were great too, even the ones who were trolling me with Evil Dies Tonight. Um, yeah, so this was so much fun. I know we were trying our hardest not to talk about spoilers for Scream 5 when we chatted last week, so this was
Yes.
fun. Thanks, John. Evil Dies Tonight. Yeah.
And Jen's checking in here. Hey, I just woke up from an appetizer. Oh
No.
no, I'm so sorry, Jen.
No. I hope you're not feeling too terrible.
Yes, I hope not. I went through the Delta variant of COVID a few months ago, and it took me down for about 3 weeks. So hopefully this one, the Omicron will be a little bit nicer. But I'm so sorry. Rest up, drink lots of fluids, rest, rest, rest. And before we say goodbye, and Chad's saying goodbye, John. Okay. Oh, it's an honor. It's our honor. It's our honor. I wanted to say to everyone, you've seen it scrolling on the bottom, but listen, if you have not yet, do me a quick favor. Hit that thumbs up button right now on the video, because what that does is when this goes into replay in about 2 minutes, it's going to help other people find it so they can enjoy it and watch this and learn about Allison's podcast as well. So please hit that like button, and if you've not yet subscribed, what in the world are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. What are you doing? We got lots to talk about. I'm going to be hitting you with Scream content every day from now until the end of the world, hopefully. So keep it coming. I love you guys so much. And if you have not yet, I do want to throw this out super quick. Here's where you can find me on social media. Hit me up on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm most active on those. Facebook, not as much, but I do have a page. But Instagram and Twitter is where you'll find me. And hit me up there if you have not yet already. But in the meantime, Allison, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We must do this again if you're up for it.
Yeah.
When we get maybe down the road a little bit, when we get some new news, we can come together and talk about it and share it with everyone.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. And to everyone still in the chat, all of you guys, thank you. I love you. You know I do. You're the best YouTube community on the planet, and I would not trade you guys for the world. We'll catch you on the next go around. Goodbye, everybody. See ya.